recording here. Just by way of housekeeping, these sessions are recorded and will be available for replay on the website, on our website. Okay, right, Solid Edge user interface. I think there's been some misunderstandings with what the user interface is about, and just let me clarify that. The user interface is not directly involved in creating geometry and everything. It's how you interact with the system and how you set it up and control it. So today we're going to be looking at the background to these controls. We're not going to be talking about creating geometry as such. Okay, let's get started. Just to give you an idea of what we'll be covering today, there seems to be a lot of topics, but most of them are fairly short. We'll have an overview of the Solid Edge screen, and then a quick look at some of the miscellaneous ways of doing things, especially around the mouse. Then we'll be looking at some detail at the quick access toolbars, keyboard shortcuts, how to and how to customize those, and again with the command ribbon bar, how to customize that. The radial menu, which has been around for a little while now, how to use that and customize it, because I think it's very powerful when we customize it. We'll be looking at the little horizontal command bar, application colors, transparent pathfinders, the options in the radial menu, how you can turn those on and off, and just the live rules options. There's been some changes over the last couple of years with how those are displayed and work. Haven't changed much since ST3 to ST4, and we'll be looking at windows and how those windows dock and interact with the screen. As an interesting aside, on your registration form I asked you to let me know what version of Solid Edge you were using. I came up with interesting statistics. 43% of you are using ST3, which is what I'd expect. ST4 has only been out just over a month, but 29% of you are using ST4. Now, we notice that we've got 23% of people using ST2. I'd strongly recommend that you look at upgrading to ST4 in the near future. And I've got 5% of the people who didn't respond to that question. Actually, it's a very good response, and I'm quite happy with that. And it gives us a better idea of where everybody is at. Okay, let's take a look at the Solid Edge screen layout. And you're all familiar with this, but what's it called, and what's it do, and what's it about? And I'll just start from the top left-hand corner. There's no particular order in this, but just to work around it, we've got the quick access toolbar sitting up there. That doesn't have to be there, by the way, and we'll show you how we can move that around. Below that is the command ribbon bar, the main ribbon bar. This interface is, of course, very similar to the Microsoft Office 2007 and beyond user interface, and it's very consistent with that. Next, we've got the edge bar tabs, which are by default minimized down the side here. And alongside that, we've got the pathfinder, which by default in Vista or Windows 7 is set up to be transparent. Down the bottom, we've got the prompt bar, which you'll all be familiar with. Going across, we've got the command finder. We tend to forget about that, and as the command finder has been enhanced quite a bit with ST4 and works in, as far as I'm aware, all environments. Next to that, we've got the view controls, which are replicated back up on the command ribbon bar. Going up to the top of the screen over on the right, the help menu. Let's not forget about that help menu. It's there it is, little icon hidden away there, and quite easy to miss. Moving across to the center, I've just highlighted a group within the command bar. You'll notice we've got a relate group there, a dimension group, and solids group. These are called groups. And the purpose of this slide is really to just give you names on things. And we've got the horizontal command bar, or the command bar, in here. As we'll see, that can be horizontal or vertical. I prefer the horizontal, and that's the default. What we've got here is the default setup of the screen. Okay, we've got some miscellaneous user interface things. It's probably really important to get out of the way up front, because some of these things you'll be aware of, some you won't be, and there's sort of no other heading for them, I'm afraid, except for miscellaneous. And Okay, we've got Alt key for keyboard commands, right click and hold for radial menu, right click and drag for gesture, double click scroll wheel for fit, scroll wheel and select feature for rotate, and scroll wheel zoom. What does all this mean? Let me find out. Well, let us find out. We want a better one than that. We want one with a picture in it. There we go. Your screens update, they're a little slow here. So the Alt key for commands. If I tap the Alt key on my keyboard, you'll notice that there's a letter combination comes up next to everything. So sketching is SK, surfacing is SU. So if I type SU on my keyboard, I go into the surfacing menu, and if I wanted to do a blue surf, I'd type BL, and it brings up the blue surf menu. So this is available from anywhere. You can do that by, as I say, just tapping the Alt key. I just bring that up again, so you've got the top level menu. I want to go to the View menus, and I want to look at, we'll turn on VS, see what that does for us. And it makes it wireframe. We get that menu back. Okay, right click and hold for radial menu. This radial menu is very useful. If I just right click and hold, you'll see the radial menu come up, and then I can pick which command I want. There's 16 on here, they're customizable. We'll look at that in a moment. And you can see me highlighting those commands. So if I highlight that command, I'm in the line draw command. If I click and drag to the right, it will go into the line draw command automatically. That's a gesture. So anything that's on the inner ring, I'm now in the zoom area command. So the gestures, and we'll see how to control those, are on the inner ring. So if you click and drag downwards, you'll get the appropriate gesture. And I got the draft gesture there, the draft command out of that gesture. So just be aware that the gestures are there, and we'll see how they're controlled in a moment. I'll do the zoom first, but as you know, and this has been the case with Solid Edge for a long time, the zoom on the mouse wheel, on the middle button of the mouse, zooms to where you're pointing at on the screen. So if the cursor's out in the top, over on the right hand side here, then we zoom towards the cursor. If I put it in the middle there, it'll zoom to the cursor. If I put it on there, it'll zoom to that object. As that's standard behavior. With ST4, we've got a new behavior. If we double click on the middle button, it will do the same as a fit command. So just to do that again, double click, and it fits. Now, for those of you who don't have a 3D controller, like I have here, and I'm just rotating things around a little bit with it, you've got some new mouse controls. If I click the middle button out in the open area here, and then pick a feature, you'll notice this little red dot goes on it. Now when I rotate by clicking and holding the middle mouse button, it rotates around that red dot where I placed it. If I go out into off the graphics, click again on that button and click on a feature like an arc, then when I go to rotate, it will rotate around that arc. So if I click out here again, select another feature, that one there, rotates around the axis of that arc or circle. If I just click in the outside area there, it turns those off. So it's all done with the middle button. And of course the scroll wheel zoom that we talked about. So it's pretty straightforward stuff, but it's good to know about those things. Okay, you can customize a lot of stuff in this user interface, and I think this is worth knowing about. The first one we're going to look at is the quick access toolbar. This has been there since, I think ST1 at least. Might have been even earlier. So it's where we got to before. So everything's customized. It's not everything is customized. You can customize anything. The first thing we're going to look at is the quick access toolbar. So we've got it's up the top here. This little icon here gives its own menu. We can turn on things like the new icon, open, etc. to have in here. So we've got new document, open, and print set up on this one. And we can add a lot of other customization by, let me get this menu up, by clicking on the on anything, right-clicking it on anything up in the command bar itself, in the command ribbon, sorry, itself. So I've clicked here and I've said customize the ribbon, and it will click on that sub-menu and it gives me a customization menu. As I see that, what will come up is a screen, the customize screen, and from here I can customize keyboard, the quick access menu, the ribbon bar itself, the main ribbon bar, and finally the radial menu. So this is how we get to all of those. So let's just take a look at this within Solid Edge itself. It's not the one I wanted, it's the one I wanted. Okay, so if we come up here, right click and say customize the ribbon, and here I get all my keyboard, quick access, and so on. In my quick access bar we see we've got undo, redo. If I close this one and use the my apologies, that's the default position for my quick access bar there. What I've done is I've moved that just by clicking on this icon, and I've moved it below the ribbon bar. Some people prefer to have the quick access down there and they can fill it up with a lot of commands. I can, as I said before, I can turn on the new. It's going to create a new theme to customize it. I need to create that new theme. We'll talk about themes in a moment. And now I've got the new, I've got the open, and I can put a print command up there as well. So a shortcut to those. So these ones you commonly use. Again, going into my full customization menu, if I look at my quick access, I can add anything I like in there. I might want to, from the view, I might want to put the set the clipping planes. So I can add those. Sorry, open that up and just hit the add and put it in there. I can add the on command, put that in there, but what I want in there is a separator, so it's got a little separator in there. I want to move the separator up so it's there. Say save that in theme 1. I can name a theme, so I just type in there to put a theme. I've got the Solid Edge default, which I can't overwrite. So in your themes, I've got one called Mark and I've got a new theme. I can type in anything I want there and save them. We'll see where these are saved shortly. When I close out of that, what we'll see is that's how I've customized my bar. I've put my set planes in there. Going back, let's have a look at some other things that we can customize. If we're looking at keyboard shortcuts, there's some interesting things in here. So if I go to my tools, I might want to set up access through my keyboard to the variables. So I want to have a use the shift key, shift plus another key, and I might put the V key in there. So as I do that, what I've got now is a shift V will work in the part synchronous environment. So if I do a shift V, that's what I get in there, providing I'm using this theme. We'll show how to set up themes in a moment. You've probably seen that. If I've got something that's already there, say I'm setting up peer variables and I want to do that, and I say, okay, what I want to use there is the control key, and in here I want to use the C, for instance. It'll come back and say that combination is currently assigned to copy. Do you want to reassign the control C to be what you want it to be? If you say okay, it'll do that. I don't want to do that, so I'll take that out. It's pretty straightforward. If we look at our quick access, which we saw before, if we look at our ribbon bar, what I might want to do here is one of the ones that I don't use too much is the surfacing one, so I'm going to turn that off, or I could say just remove it. So I've taken out surfacing. I want to add a new tab in there, which I'll call, I want to rename that to be Mark, for instance. In there, in the group in there, I want to call it My Tools. And in My Tools, I might want to add some of the surfacing commands. So all I want to have is something out of the curve set. I want key point curves. 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 add that, and I'll add that set. I want the intersection curve, and so on. Might want the intersection point. Add that. And when I set that up, as you'll see, I'm going to put that in my theme 1. We'll close that. Save the changes. And if I click up here and say themes, go to new theme 1 or my theme 1, we've got a tab up here called Mark, which has got those things in it. So you can see how I can rapidly change that. We'll see where they're stored in a moment, but I can also get back to the solid edge default at any time. You cannot delete the solid edge default, so it's always going to be there. So yep, we're back up and running on that. Okay, that was the ribbon bar itself. The radial menu, again, anywhere there, customize the ribbon. And this is probably one that you will want to modify. Let's just take a look. I've gone to the radial menu here. I'm going to put this into new theme 1, and I don't want to use the zoom area in there at all. So what I'm going to do is I want some sketching commands in there. The sketch command that I use quite a lot is draw. The draw commands is my rectangle by center, and all I have to do here is to drag that across into there. He says, sorry, that's what I want, rectangle by center, and that's the set there. I just want to put that in there. And I might want to have the rectangle by 2 points immediately above that, because I use that a lot. So I'm changing this quite dramatically. I'd leave my select in there. I'd use my dimensioning tools. I may not use live section that often, so I want to put a polygon by center on that one, and so on. I can build up that that set to be whatever I want it to be. It's going to go into new theme 1. So as I say, close this. Yes. And now when I bring that up, I've got my command in there. So as you can see, it's pretty flexible. And of course, don't forget, at any time I can go back to my default, my get out of jail free card. Now, once you've got all that set up, you probably don't need to have this command bar open all the time. Now somebody's going to say, how did you do that? Where did they go? All I did was double click on a tab. I selected a tab and double clicked. It's a toggle, turns them on, turns them off. Or I can right click and say minimize the ribbon bar, right click again and say and undo the minimize bar. Pretty simple. Okay, where do these files go? They go to C, in this case Mark, C users, Mark, app data, roaming, unigraphic solution, solid edge version 104, and we will see a number of files in there. Let's just take a look at that. That's probably the easiest way, isn't it? He says, here we go. I've gone to computer, local disk, users, Mark, app data, roaming, so it follows me round, unigraphic solutions, where all the stuff is kept, solid edge, obviously, 104, customization. Now there's my new theme 1, and so I've got a new theme 1 custom, keyboard custom. So my keyboard customization's in there, my quick access toolbar, my radial toolbar. Now these are XML files. Don't try and modify them directly. Use the command interface to modify them. Now the beauty of this is that you can simply copy and paste these to anywhere you want. Right, so if I set one up, let's say I'm the lead draftsman, and I set up some customization themes that I want everybody to use, I can set them up on my workstation and then just copy them onto the others' machines under the same area. So it's in their users area, users, whatever their login name is, app data roaming, down we go into there. So fairly nice. The other thing to remember, close that down, is that if you're moving from ST3 and you've done any customization in ST3, your customization XML file will be brought forward automatically into ST4. So that's very nice. Okay, we've got a number of options with our customization. They're under the Solid Edge Options area under Helpers. Now, what do these things do? First of all, we've got the application color scheme. You know, it's one of those things that's good to know. For some reason, I haven't. We can change that, so it's options, helpers, color scheme. I want blue, say apply, and we've got a blue color scheme, as you can see. I don't particularly like that, but some people might. So I'll put that back to aqua, which is, or silver. Silver, I think, is the default, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. The next one that we've got is the Show Pathfinder in Document View. Now, what that does is sets up the transparent Pathfinder. This is on by default, but if you're using XP, it will not work. It only works with Vista and Windows 7. Now, you can change the background type in there, as we can see. I want that one. We can change the background type to a gradient background, text with a white background. The text with a white background is just that. The gradient background is probably easier to see for most people. You can have a play with that anyway. The next one is the command user interface, the horizontal toolbar, so that when we access a command, we get a horizontal toolbar. Or you can revert to the sort of behavior that we had earlier. So if I use the vertical toolbar, apply that and bring up some command, he says it's off screen probably. Yep, that will change the toolbar. I've got that on another screen and I can't move it back to the small screen at the moment, so I will let you play with that, because it does what it says it does. So you've got horizontal toolbar or a vertical toolbar. The next one is radial menus, and these are gestures. Now, I have had people be very confused about gestures and turn them off. Now, I would look at working with gestures because it can speed up. If you start using if you just start using the radial menu using the click and hold method and then selecting the icon you want, after a while you'll get to work out where it is. Now, that delay that you get after you click on the button is 400 milliseconds, so you can change that. You can also change the minimum drag distance for a gesture. It's pixels on the screen, so it's relative to your screen size. So if you've got a very high resolution screen, you may want to go for a bigger number of pixels. If you've got a lower resolution screen, you may want to go for a smaller number of pixels. It's just a compromise there. Just be aware that that's the case. Now, live rules. Let me just illustrate with the Solid Edge itself. We'll bring up one with a part. So if I start modifying something, my live rules come up here, and you'll notice that they're transparent. Right? They sit in the background. Live rules in ST2, of course, and earlier were vertical over here, and you had to take your eye off the screen and move over to see what was going on. Much easier with this arrangement, I believe. But that is, as we can see, is controlled from the screen. Okay, Windows and docking. This can cause users, when they first start using it's called the Fluent user interface from Microsoft, the Office 2007 user interface. On our menus on the side there, we've got a pin, so we can pin the window. So we click on that, it pins the window in place. So we've just clicked the feature library there, and we're going to pin it in place. Now we're going to pick one of the tabs in here, and I've picked the Family of Parts tab, and I'm actually dragging the window away. So I'm dragging, just click on that tab, with the left mouse button, click and drag it away, and it sets that menu up separately. It's come out of this bar and is over here. That's the result. So let's take a look at that very quickly. Is that hard to do? Probably not. Let's just get rid of some of the garbage off the screen here. Okay, so if I click on this menu, out it comes. If I go off and work somewhere else, it will eventually collapse. But if I pin it up like that, so it's locked in place, you'll notice it moves the edge bar across. Now I've got some tabs in here. That's my family of parts. I've got layers, I've got sensors, and simulation. If I come back to that one and say, well, I'm using family of parts a lot, I want to pull that toolbar out so it's separate on my screen, I can just drag it out like that. And you'll notice that I get these little stickers. I'll talk about those in a moment. I put it out there. Now I unpin my toolbar and it goes away. You'll notice now that this is no longer available in here. Now what commonly happens, and people get confused, is they say, I don't want this out here anymore, so they just close it. It's still gone. Right? I don't have it there. You'll notice it's not in the set of tabs. So I've got a problem straight away. What I can do to get it back in the tabs is click on this icon here and return it. Now, what I've got there is this now where it was before I closed it. So if I now bring out my my parts here, pin those up, and I want to pull this back so that it goes back into this, onto the tabs. So when we start to move this, you'll notice that these blue stickers are around the place, sitting at the corner of the screen there. So if we look right over to the left, over to the right of the screen, we see a blue sticker there. If I put my cursor on that blue sticker, it shows me where it's going to put the window. Put it there. If I pull it off here and put it up there, it's going to put it up there. Same down the bottom, and so on. If I, let's just put it in here so we don't take up so much screen real estate. If I put that one, it's going to stack it up next to the edge, that edge. If I drag it over there, you'll notice I get a set of stickers in here, so I can go top, left, bottom, so on. But if I click on the middle one, if I don't click on it, I just point at the middle one and then release, what it does is it puts that into the tabs again. You'll notice that's sitting in the tabs. But the tab is in the wrong place. I want to put that tab. I just click and drag it, just a normal left click, and drag it into the right place. And I can unpin that, and it's back to normal. So it's pretty simple to deal with that thing. You just got to be aware that it's there and how it all works. So what we saw there is when we want to put this back, we can use this center sticker. You just point at it and release to place a window inside another window as a tab of that window. This is all Microsoft stuff. It's really got very little to do with Solid Edge. Okay, we're running a little bit over time. My apologies for that. Let me just mute here for half a second while I cough. Sorry about that. My throat was becoming very dry and scratchy and I needed to cough. So we've had a look at some of the miscellaneous things that are in the user interface. You know, there's some of those little things are quite powerful, and the mouse controls, you want to have a bit of a play with those and you'll find them very useful. The quick access toolbar, that's very useful. It's something I use a lot and set up for all my different environments. Remember that the customization for these things is unique to each environment. So if we're in synchronous part, it's different from ordered part. If we're in sheet metal, it's again different from part, and so on. Assembly is going to be different. So you set them up for each of the areas that you want to use these customizations in. And we've got keyboard shortcuts, which we saw. We can put our own keyboard combinations in there. Stay away from modifying the standard ones, especially like Control-C and Control-V. That will cause you a fair amount of grief if you change those. But you can change them. Your command ribbon bar, you can customize that to put your own groups up there, your own commands in the order that you want them. But you can always get back to the default. You can't ever overwrite the default. Your radial menu, And I would look at using that. I would look at customizing it for the way you use. You can put most of your commands up there. Never have the ribbon bar open. Gives you a lot of screen real estate back. Your application colors, that's nice, but no big deal. Your transparent pathfinder. The only thing there to remember is you've got to have Vista or Windows 7. I think most people should be on Windows 7 these days. Radial menu options, and that's about how you set up the delay for it to come up, and the amount of travel that your mouse does to pull the gestures up. Your live rules options, about how it's displayed, and your windows and docking. Don't forget about that. That's something that can confuse people, I know. Okay, look, thank you all for your attention. Question and answer session. I see there's some questions coming in there. How do you make the Pathfinder go back to that sidebar instead of floating all the time? The Pathfinder is different. The Pathfinder is floating by default. To send it back, what you need to do is to the Pathfinder here, you need to go to your options. It's under helpers, isn't it? And Pathfinder, show Pathfinder in the document view, you turn that off and it goes back into the edge bar. I don't really recommend that, to be honest, but you can do it. Okay, that was from Glenn. Is the location, yeah, well, it'll be similar. The question here from Joe, is the location of custom themes in XP the same as Windows 7? No, it's not. It's where Microsoft hides stuff, but it will be in a similar location. I don't have an XP machine anymore here that I can do that on. Excuse me. But it will be in, my documents and settings, your login name, and then the same string below that. So it's in a very similar location, Joe. You need to move off XP. But yeah, it is there. Just while we're talking about XP2, please remember that ST4 is definitely the last version of Solid Edge that will load on XP. The next version, which is not that far away, it's June next year, ST5 will not load on XP. One here from Scott. What screen resolution do you recommend for Solid Edge? Look, I run whatever it is, 1920 by 1200 or more is fine. More is better, Scott. There's not a recommended. We can work right down to 1024 by 768. What you'll see when that happens is the groups here concatenate, so we'll have solids just as a pull down set of group. So if you'll see this sort of thing. Let me just make that a bit smaller for you. So as you make it smaller on the screen, then these concatenate a bit. So you can use any resolution you like, but for CAD, I wouldn't go much below 1920 by 1080, which is pretty common these days. All your gaming machines are that. But 1920 by 1200, which is what I run on my workstation, is better. Can we locate the custom theme files on a shared server location? Yes, you can. If you look it up under Files, you can put them there. Sorry, Joe. Wasn't aimed at you personally, mate. Just a... yeah, it is hard for people, I know, who have got IT departments that are still living in XP world. I think the IT department's finally got an operating system with XP that really worked for them, and they're loath to let it go. Unfortunately, it hasn't been supported by Microsoft for a long time, so there's very little we can do with it. I know the developers are telling us that there's some stuff that we may not be able to fix with ST4. Might be some issues come up that we may not be able to fix with XP, and of course it's a pre-known issue. This transparency and things like that we know about, and there's no way we can fix that because it just doesn't work in XP. It's just simply not there. Look, I thank you all for your questions, guys. It's been very good. My apologies for the sound earlier on. I unmuted in one place but not in the other place, and that was something for me to check. I've got a checklist here anyway on my board. I'll make a bigger checklist to make sure. Although somebody might remind me next time. Problem is, once I get started, I don't look at the question field until I've got sort of underway for a few minutes, and it did take me a couple of minutes to pick up on that. My apologies for that. Your patience is is appreciated there. What have we got here? I think there's another question has come in. While using quick picks in draft, I hover my mouse over an endpoint, and the endpoint as a symbol becomes visible on clicking the mouse, and I want to start a new line from there. Occasionally the new line will miss the endpoint. Not really, Rajveer, I'm not sure what's happening there. It might be helpful if you can talk to the support guys, 1300 883 653. The occasionally bit worries me. So what you're saying there is that you occasionally can't pick it. That sounds a bit odd. It's something I'd bring up with support and see if they can, and they should be able to nail that down for you. It may be a graphics driver problem. I know if we've got with certain older graphics drivers, some of the screen interaction stuff doesn't work that well, and you can imagine this is very highly dependent when we're dealing with graphics screen interactions on the quality of the graphics driver and everything else. So it may help if you have a talk to them about that sort of thing. I don't have an answer. It's not something that's known as a problem, but it's probably the problem would be unique to certain hardware or combinations thereof. Okay, guys, we're 45 minutes into the hour. I don't want to take up too much of your day. Just go back to my slides here. Thank you all for your attention. Next time, you'll get an email ahead of time about what we're going to be talking about. Look, if you've got suggestions for anything that you want me to include, please, by all means, send an email to me. You've got my email address on the invite, but it's mark@edgeplm.com.au anytime. So, just remains for me to say thank you and wrap it up. Thank you all. Hope you all enjoyed it, and my apologies for the lack of sound for the first few minutes. Bye for now.